Hello everybody, I am Fuzzy Face. Welcome back to this Motorsport Manager career. We've got episode number 50 today. We're winding down this season. We've got 3 races to go. It looks like we could still be in with a chance of winning the Constructors' Championship. We're heading to Phoenix today. It is a track where we do need to take full advantage of the performance of our car here because we do have the best engine overall. We do have a really good rear wing now and we do have a good suspension system. So overall, we should be the quickest car around this track. Whether that does actually turn out to be the case, but we do need to take this advantage that we've got over Mercedes because as we see after Phoenix we've got Doha and then Munich. Both tracks are relying on the gearbox. Our gearbox is just absolute trash at the moment. It is not up to scratch. I was thinking about going with the gearbox upgrade, but if we went with the gearbox upgrade after we did the rear wing, which is why we've got such a good rear wing, we have gone for a front wing upgrade. The gearbox wouldn't have been ready until after Doha and only just before we got to Munich. So I went with the front wing because we can get the front wing done before Doha, and the front wing is crucial around both circuits. We've got a really good front wing as it is, but if we can jump that up to being top of the grid, we should still be in with a good performing car around those tracks even without the gearbox, because in Doha the engine is useful as well. We should be there or thereabouts, and the suspension. So we shouldn't be too bad, but we do need to take full advantage of what our car can offer us around Phoenix. Hopefully we can get maybe a 1-2 would be the ultimate goal here, but you never know. Mercedes should be quite strong around this track. Other than ourselves doing those upgrades, if we just quickly run down what the other teams have done, it's still the AI going for full out on rear wing upgrades. We've got Mercedes, we've got Prema, and we've got Ferrari have all built new rear wings. None of them did as big of an upgrade as us. They've upgraded their rear wings throughout the season. They're on like 6th or 7th, so they're not really getting much of a boost over what they've done before. As we see, Mercedes, Ferrari with new rear wings haven't moved up. Neither have Prema. They're still pretty far down the order. Even with our massive upgrade to our rear wing, we still have got nowhere near that massively powerful rear wing of Aston Martin. Other than those 2 upgrades, it's just AlphaTauri and the Alfa Romeo team have both got new gearboxes going into their car, so they're trying to get ready for the next 2 races. AlphaTauri right up there in 2nd place with a gearbox, which is pretty good for them. Overall, we still keep our top spot. We're still above the McLaren, above the Aston Martin. Ferrari are 4th, the Ford Haas is 5th, and Mercedes have slipped to 6th, which is pretty good for us. But have Mercedes got a pretty power? Yeah, Mercedes have got typical. They've got a really strong gearbox, so they're going to be strong over the last 2 races of the season, although their front wing is letting them down, and the suspension, where are they for the suspension above us? So Mercedes should be the better performing car over the last 2 races. We should be in a good position here in Phoenix, so we're going to just get in. We'll take the better tomorrow, but should we we'll take that. I've got a feeling we should be quick enough to grab pole here, whether we can actually grab pole or not. But anyway, we'll go with 8 and 7. It's going to be clear all the way through this race weekend, hopefully. I mean, there is a little bit of cloud, so there's always still a little bit of a chance of a risk of rain, but as you can see, we've got it's nearly 3/4 of the oval, and with our really strong engine, we should be quicker around a lot of this track than a lot of the other cars. So hopefully we are going to be pretty quick here. Yeah, so we're just going to jump into it. Practice we go over as usual. You're not going to get to see practice because it doesn't really have that much of a bearing, but we will be back in a second for the qualifying. So practice is over and we are looking pretty quick here. Gasly 2 tenths quicker than his teammate Sebastian Vettel. The Mercedes looking pretty quick as well. We've got the Ford Haases in their home race looking quick as well as that. So hopefully this is going to translate into true pace in qualifying. Whether it does or not, that is another question entirely. It should be a dry session, which is good for us here. And we're pretty much there with the setup with Vettel. We're all the way there with Gasly. He's absolutely delighted with that setup. So we're going to get in and take qualifying. And as usual, it'll be Gasly coming out first for the first run. We're right at the end of the garage, just behind the Mercedes here. So we're going to try and find a little bit of a gap for Gasly, get him out onto a fresh pair of super softs. Although then one of the Mercedes comes out right in front of him. Get a gap for Sebastian Vettel here as well, and we'll get him out of the pits and just see what sort of time we can get off our first run here. Obviously, if you've watched before, we do know that Gasly does have the timesheet hero stat, so he does get a +2 to all of his stats during qualifying, which is possibly why he's a little bit quicker than his teammate. Charles Leclerc goes quicker over the first lap, although Gasly set the 2 quickest sectors, and there he is. He's about 4 tenths up on Charles Leclerc there. The Mercedes looking quick. McLaren's pretty quick as well. They are still in with a chance of winning the Constructors' Championship. Leclerc, meanwhile, is miles ahead. I think he's got a 64-point advantage in the drivers' standings at the moment. unless he has a nightmare race, crashes out, it's going to be hard for Vettel or Gasly to get anywhere near him. So it's just about trying to get our cars somewhere there. Hope Leclerc has a nightmare. Hope Mercedes have a nightmare. If we get a 1-2, we should be able to close up the gap and get pretty close depending on what Mercedes do over the weekend during the race. So we're getting ready for our second run. A lot of the cars are starting to come out of the garage. Vettel is going to go first on the second run, and then Gasly will be possibly the last car on track. We're just going to wait for a little bit of a gap. There's a car coming possibly into the garage because a few of the middle order cars have already been out for their second run. Oh, we just get out in front of one of the McLarens. I don't know which McLaren that is. And it's Lando Norris right behind us, who I think is right up there in the driver's standings as well, with Gasly and Vettel, although still nowhere near Charles Leclerc. But anyway, hopefully we can go quicker. We've got Norris, one of the main threats. Leclerc is on his outlap at the moment. Can Leclerc go quicker in this one? The Ford Haas's have already done their second run. Vettel is the quickest car over the first sector so far, although Gasly is going even quicker here. So it looks like Gasly should be able to retain his pole position here. And Leclerc, where is Leclerc? We're on Verstappen there. Leclerc jumps from 7th to 4th. Vettel is 3rd. Russell has managed to jump in, but Gasly does retain pole position here, and Norris as well has jumped Sebastian Vettel. So we do need a really good start from both our cars here. It's not the 1-2 I was hoping for. I thought we might have had the pace out of both cars, but Russell and Norris put in excellent second laps here in qualifying, managed to get ahead of Sebastian Vettel. 3/10 slower than his teammate. Not that much quicker than Charles Leclerc either. We should have an advantage with this car. Vettel just not performing really. But anyway, hopefully we're going to have a good race here. It should maybe be a 2-stop strategy. We'll just see what tyres we do need to use during this race. It is 29 laps, so yeah, one stop is off the cards here, so it does need to be a 2-stop. And I'm guessing the AI can't give him the system either by going soft, because that's not really going to get you through to the end because of weather. Look at that, 31 degrees, so we might even have to go super soft and then 2 softs. But as it is, we have to start on the super softs because we're in the top 10. And yeah, we're going to take the super soft bonus with both cars. We do need a really good start here and to have that bonus to try open up a gap to get into the pits with a gap so we don't get stuck in traffic is going to be the main thing here. But anyway, we're going to go down the grid for the 2023 USA Grand Prix. We've got Pierre Gasly in pole positions, George Russell joining him on the front row of the grid. I think that's one of the first times this season that we've seen George Russell so high up the grid. Lando Norris is 3rd. Sebastian Vettel will start from 4th on the 2nd row. On the 3rd row of the grid, we've got Charles Leclerc, followed by Kevin Magnussen in that Aston Martin. Mercedes power in that car and that really strong rear wing. Aston Martin should suit this track. I don't know where Lance Stroll actually finished up here. But anyway, Carlos Sainz is in 7th. Max Verstappen 8th in the Ford Haas. Newgarden 9th. Hamilton 10th in the Ferrari. That's the first Ferrari on the grid here. Esteban Ocon in 11th. Schwartzman will start from 12th. Daniel Ricciardo in the 2nd Ferrari all the way down in 13th. Fernando Alonso in this Red Bull that hasn't been up to scratch at all this season is 14th. Hulkenberg in the Williams is 15th. Stroll 16th in the Aston Martin, although he does have a dodgy neck at the moment. Might explain why this Aston Martin, which should perform at this track, is about a second slower than us. But anyway, Mick Schumacher in the Alfa Romeo will start from 17th. Giovinazzi 18th. Nick De Vries in the Williams will start from 19th. Bottas 20th. Perez 21st. Vips in the Red Bull 22nd. And then we've got Albon and Tsunoda in the 2 Alfa Tauris, bringing up the rear of the grid. That new gearbox that they've got, although I don't think it was new this race. Yeah, that new gearbox that they've got, which puts them up to 2nd, is not really beneficial around this track. But anyway, we're hoping we can have a really, really good start here. And here we go onto the track. What has happened to our livery here? No, it's just the lighting, isn't it? It looked a totally different livery out on track. But anyway, Gasly has got off to an amazing start here. Manages to stay ahead of George Russell, although Vettel is having a bit of a nightmare here. So we're going to have to go into attack mode to try get back some of these positions. Although we don't want to push too much yet. We sort of want to hit the attack mode once we get onto the almost 3/4 oval part of this track, although we don't want to lose too many positions, do we? Because we're just falling down the odd here, and maybe we can just look after this tyre with Gasly if we can, although we do need to push up the oval, don't we, and stay ahead of Charles Leclerc here. Vettel, can he get a good run? It is a Prema in front and then an Aston Martin. Look at our speed advantage down the oval. If we can just keep going with Vettel, he manages to get 2 cars there. The engine power in our car at the moment is just outstanding. And then we've got the 2 McLarens sat in front of us, and Gasly, meanwhile, it's 2 Mercedes trying to chase him down here. So this is not too good for our title hopes here. With Vettel falling down the order, we would have expected to be quicker than Mercedes around the oval part of the track, and we just need to keep an eye on Gasly here in case Leclerc is going to try push. They are pushing their tyres at the moment, they're pushing the fuel as well. So if we can just hold them off here, we are quicker than them slightly. I mean, he was pulling up a little bit there towards the end of the oval, but if we can just keep this position now as Vettel moves back into 4th place as well, we don't want these tyres to get too hot. We just do need him to get on the back of the Mercedes though, is the main thing here. But if we can just get away from these Mercedes, they are going to have to turn down at some point. They're going to be burning their tyres because it's 31 degrees here in Phoenix. It's absolutely scorching. The tyre temperatures are going to get so high, and we just need to keep an eye on them. Meanwhile, we can just go in neutral and high mode with Gasly. That should be alright. And if we can get somewhere close with Vettel, who is half a second quicker than Charles Leclerc up the road. So if we look 2.2 seconds, we should be a lot quicker than those 2 Mercedes. So we do need to get Vettel past and Gasly now, as they are starting to, they're going into low mode now. As they start to turn down, we should be able to catch up with Vettel and get Gasly just flying off into the distance, open up a big enough gap that we can get into the pits and not have it affect our race too much. Just try and go as long as we can. And meanwhile, I think we're going to have to, if we get close enough to this, the 2 Mercedes, by the time we hit the oval, maybe we can get this overtake done this lap, get it done sooner rather than later. I know it's going to overheat the tyres, but I mean, we're close enough to Leclerc that we should be able to get past him pretty easily. And this engine power that we've got here absolutely coming into into effect. That was an amazing speed advantage that we had over the Mercedes there. We're right on the back of George Russell now, as Gasly has just flown off into the distance. He's almost 5 seconds ahead here. I mean, we're just absolutely so quick around this track. But meanwhile, we've got Russell in 2nd, Leclerc is 4th. We've got the Mercedes in the Ferrari now, is Lewis Hamilton up into 5th. As we come down to the oval now, since we're backing up, it does mean that Russell has pulled away from us, but that is a position I would expect us to make up. So whilst we just cool down for a little bit, I mean, it's not too much. We don't so much have to attack Russell too early. We just need to make sure we can get into the pits and out without it causing us too many problems. But anyway, as we go down the rest of the order, Sainz in the McLaren, Schwartzman up there in the Prema doing pretty well. Verstappen in the Ford Haas. Magnussen has dropped from his 6th place start on the grid, and Norris is up into 9th, and Vettel meanwhile is coming under a little bit of pressure from Charles Leclerc here, so we're going to have to get pushing now. He's lost about 2.5 seconds to George Russell. On the last lap we were about 4 tenths down what we're going to be on this lap, around almost, it's over a second slower. And what does it say? If Vettel came into the pits, he would drop down to 15th. But obviously we're not going to get held up too much because we would just fly past the rest of the field, I think. So should we try close up to Russell, or should we just try and get this stint going? Because are we opening up a gap back to 15th? It's currently 21 seconds back, and Gasly's definitely opening that gap up as well. So Gasly can get pushing, maybe go in conserve mode because we do want him to run as far as he can. He's got a good 5-second advantage over George Russell here. But Vettel currently in 3rd place. He's a car that we need to move up, because if things stayed as they were, I mean, look at that, we're still, what is that? That is 18 points. We're only picking up about 10 points at the moment advantage over the Mercedes here. So we do really need Vettel to jump George Russell. It doesn't look like any of the other cars are going to get near us. So it is up to us to upset Mercedes here, because Mercedes are on for a 3-4 finish, even if we do get 1-2. I was hoping Mercedes wouldn't perform around this track, but they have got the pace on this track as well, which is not good for us, and we're about 28% done. I don't even think we've got another lap in this, so we're going to push into the pits with Vettel, and we're going to have to get in and out. Should we go for the super soft? And then, yeah, because there's only 20 laps, we managed to get an easy 10 laps out of this tyre. So we're going to go for the super soft because we do have traffic to clear here, whereas Gasly is going to get another lap in here, although we should get him into the pits as well, shouldn't we? So let's fly him around. He's going to get in and possibly run the alternate. Since we don't have to go for the super soft, we don't really need to clear traffic. He is going to come out into 4th place. We are going to run the alternate strategy with Gasly, Hopefully there's going to be no mistakes here, as Vettel is... Are we the first car on track to make a pit stop here? We're not actually that far down. That is out into 8th place here. And we don't want to push too much unless we're on the back of the cars in front. We do have fuel to recover as well with Vettel. And we're going to try to clear these cars. And we're stuck in a little bit of traffic here. We're behind the Primo of Giovinazzi. Gasly is going to be coming into the pits though. We're going to see the Mercedes coming in. No, we've got Russell staying out. I don't think Leclerc is going to get in this lap either. No, he's staying out. No mistakes on the pit stop. Nice and quick. And Gasly gets out into 3rd place. So he can just nicely just trundle along here. Whereas we try to clear some traffic now with Vettel, who's 7th place. Can we get past the Primo of Giovinazzi? We didn't actually do that over the course of the lap, did we? So we're going to have to push a little bit more than I would have wanted with Sebastian Vettel here. We don't want to lose out too much to the Mercedes. We do need to stay somewhere close to Russell, as Russell is into the pits here. And are we going to get this position? Russell is out just in front of us though, so he hasn't gained that many places. But we are in a position now where our tyres are running a little bit too hot. And what was Russell's gone for the soft here, so we should be able to make this move here with Vettel. So we're just going to stay up here. We're going to go into overtake mode, and hopefully we can get in on the 3/4 over part of this track as we clear Robert Schwartzman in the Primo. We should be quicker than this Mercedes now. And here we go. Are we quick enough to get past him? Going around the outside, Vettel is going to get the inside line out of the exit on the chicane, and we do get that move done, and we're going to have to try to cool this tyre down now. Hopefully Russell isn't going to be able to get back past us whilst we try and cool down, but Gasly is right behind Charles Leclerc here. Leclerc's tyres have gone over the edge here, and Leclerc slowing down on his way into the pits, and Gasly does have a pretty commanding lead here, so we might as well just try and recover as much as we can as we come down the half oval. Russell has managed to get back past as we tried to cool these tyres down, but we should be quick enough to get back past him over the course of this lap whilst we're in medium, neutral and high mode. We've got a lot of fuel to recover though with Vettel. We do need to start doing that, so we can't really go any more than medium for the rest of this race, and it's just all about whether we can get Vettel past, which we do, and whether he can hold it over the 3/4 oval. These tyres starting to go off, although we can get onto the soft tyre at any point now, and we gained about a second there on Russell over the course of that 1.2. We were behind him, and then gained about like almost a second over the course of going through the oval there. So we've got a little bit of a gap. See if we can just cool down ever so quickly. We'll try get that gap. That gap possibly will go down, so we'll just switch it to conserve. Now we'll go to neutral for the oval. As we come around this part of the track, we've got Gasly way out in front. Vettel is now in second. Leclerc, Hamilton could get close enough to him because Hamilton's gone for the super soft tyre. That would be good if that could happen. And now we'll switch into backup mode as we come around this part of the track. Actually, we'll just switch into conserve mode. We can just keep these tyres from fully overheating. That is the main aim here, and we'll just switch into conserve mode with Pierre Gasly as well. Pretty much got this race wrapped up with Gasly. We don't want to risk anything with him, so we'll just stick into conserve mode, and we want to go as far as we can on this super soft now. We're up in a gap. It's 3.3 seconds. Hamilton on that super soft is only a tiny little bit quicker than Charles Leclerc, so hopefully Hamilton can pick up some pace here in that Ferrari. Not as strong as this Mercedes around this track, but hopefully he's got enough pace in him to challenge Charles Leclerc, because we do need to get that gap down, as it would be with 12 points behind Mercedes at the end of this race if things stay the same as they are. But it looks like we've got the 1-2 pretty much wrapped up here as well, so we might as well switch back into neutral. 10 laps to go. I mean, there's a lot of life left in that soft tyre. It shouldn't see them through to the end, but they did go long on that first, didn't they? Our Mercedes is going to try one-stop this race. It shouldn't be possible, but you never know. So I think we've got a little bit of room to push here. We might as well push into the pits. We've got another lap in this tyre, although we're fully overheated now. It might be a little bit close, might it? We don't want this tyre to go off, but we're going to get in for the soft tyre. Could go super soft, but as per my own conditions, we've got to use 2 sets of different tyres for each race. We could game the system like the AI sometimes does and goes, I'm guessing like Ford Haas are going to go super soft, super soft, super soft. Anyway, we're going to push now. I think we've got enough life in this tyre just to get around 17%. We should come into the pits just as we go off these tyres, which we just about do. We're not going to lose that much time. Hopefully there's going to be no mistakes here, And we say that, and that's 2 seconds of a mistake there. And Vettel is out now. We can stay in high mode for a little bit. We're out into 6th place. I'm hoping that the Mercedes do have to pit again, because as it is, they don't have to if they don't want to, really, because as it is, what can we do? 5 laps. Yeah, that Mercedes might get through to the end of the race. I mean, it would be pushing it. It might go off the boil a little bit. I mean, Leclerc's got a little bit more in that tyre than Russell does. So what we're going to have to do, we've got fuel and we've got tyre left here for Gasly. We're going to have to get pushing. We might as well push on the soft before we switch back to the super soft, because we definitely can't get through to the end of the race. And Pierre Gasly is going to set his personal best lap of the race, sets the quickest lap of the race overall. Possibly, yeah, he's got about one more lap, this lap to do, and then we can get onto the super soft. Get him in and out of the pits. Will he still be in first place after the pit stop? As Vettel now goes quickest. Vettel closing up this gap to Charles Leclerc, which is what we need to do. I think Russell definitely does have to pit, but Leclerc has got an extra lap in that tyre. Whether Leclerc is going to pit again. Mercedes seemingly looking to go for it here. Looks like Gasly is in and out of the pits ahead of George Russell, which is excellent because he's on that nice fresh super soft tyre now. He's 1 second gap. He should be able to just fly away into the distance to end this race. But Vettel, 4th place. We do really need to chase down Charles Leclerc here. Hopefully we can do that. We don't want this tyre to actually go off though, so we do need to, we've got a lot of fuel to recover as well, haven't we, because we've been sat in high mode as well. But we need to get as close as we can to Charles Leclerc. It looks like the Mercedes are definitely going to try one stop this race as well, so I don't think we're going to be able to get Russell. They shouldn't have been able to do that. I'm guessing the Mercedes is a little bit easier on tyre wear than we are, because there was no chance that we could have done that unless we were just running in backup mode for the entire race or conserve, which means we wouldn't have been in the position we were in anyway. And we're actually going up quite a bit slower, are we not? We're about matching the time of Charles Leclerc in front. So what are they at? 33% with 3 laps to go. It shouldn't really be doable, but if they're pushing as well, so they're going to come into the pits right at the end of the race if they do. We've got 58% left, 3 laps remaining. We can just push this tyre here as well. I'm going to have to switch into low mode with about 2 laps remaining to try and recover this fuel before the end of the race. I mean, Gasly's just shot off into the distance. Is Russell thinking about pitting any point soon? Maybe these softs, they're not going to pit, but they're going to just run these softs into the ground. I mean, 24%, I think these can go to 10% before they do go off. They might not even go off before the end of the race. Meanwhile, we're just in full-on attack mode here, and just going to have to see what happens with the fuel. There is coming up to starting the final lap now. We're right on the back of Charles Leclerc. Russell's tyres are starting to go off. Is he going to think about pitting? He's in conserve mode. No, he's staying out for this final lap. It looks like they are going to make it, the Mercedes. It's going to be an amazing strategy for Mercedes to one-stop this race. But we do really need to get past Charles Leclerc here. I think our fuel's going to go and try to get that move done. I don't think we've got time to recover the fuel over half a lap. So we're going to lose out on this 3rd place as well. Although Gasly is going to win the race here for us. Vettel, his fuel is about to run out. He's ahead of Charles Leclerc, but the fuel is about to go. But when is it going to go? When is it going to go? It's going to go here. Is it good enough to get across? Yeah, it is good enough to get across the line. So we do still at least finish in 3rd place. Russell does grab that 2nd. A one-stop strategy. That is 17 laps off that soft tyre. I mean, I don't even think there's no chance we could have done that. 12 and 17. I mean, Leclerc got 14 off that super soft. I don't think there was any chance of us doing that, but I'm guessing Mercedes do have like the 5-star tyre wear rate, or for some reason they've got a lot longer. They've got a better tyre wear rate than us. But anyway, 1st and 3rd is not too bad. I'm a little bit disappointed we didn't get the 1st and 2nd to close that gap right up, but as it is, we are closing the gap still. Max Verstappen did have a 10-second time penalty, but anyway, it's 1st and 3rd for us, 2nd and 4th for the Mercedes, and we get Ferrari, one of their better results so far this season. Then a Prema, then a Ford Haas, and then another Prema. Prema doing pretty well around this track, actually getting both cars into the points, which the parent Ferrari team didn't do, as Daniel Ricciardo finishes in 23rd. I mean, I think Danny Rick is just a bit cursed in this game, isn't he? Anyway, there we go. First and third, 61 points. So Charles Leclerc is declared champion now because there's only 2 races left this season, a maximum of 50 points to pick up. So Leclerc is the driver's champion. Meanwhile, it's just 18 points back from Mercedes to us. It is doable. I mean, we picked up 10 points this race over the Mercedes. We need them to have a nightmare over one of the final races in Doha. But it does look like it's going to come down to the final race of the season on this season, heading into our home Grand Prix in Munich. But we do know that our car, the way it is, with the gearbox the way it is not suited fully to the next 2 tracks coming up. I mean, we're not going to be too bad, but whether we're quicker than the Mercedes is going to be another question entirely. And that is what we're going to have to deal with, and that will be coming up in the next episode when we hit Doha. There's 17 days to that race. We're going to get the new front wing on the car, and we don't know what updates the computer cars are going to do, the rest of the teams, what they are going to update. But anyway, that is what we're heading into. We're heading into the final 2 races of the season, Doha, and then the episode after that we will be in Munich. Can we get the Constructors' Championship, a rainy race in Munich? Oh, that is going to be an interesting race for the final race of the season. But anyway, that is it for this episode. Another one in the books. We're winding down this series as well. If you'd heard me saying the last, I think 2 videos ago, this is possibly going to be the last season for a while on this one. We're going to be moving on to maybe something new with Motorsport Manager. But anyway, that is it for this episode. Hope you all enjoyed. But until next time, I will see you down the road. But until that time, goodbye.